Hey everybody, it's Fett here at Azalea Studios in Nashville. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about what might be the ultimate musician accessory, or at least the ultimate studio accessory. I'm not talking about gear, I'm not talking about an instrument or anything like that. I am talking about, are you ready for this? A fridge. That's right, I'm going to talk about the Marshal Fridge. There are two models of the fridge. There's a smaller one and there's a larger one that also includes a freezer compartment, which I'm going to talk about. So let's get right to it and find out what it's all about. Okay folks, here it is. It's the Marshal Fridge MF 4.4 BLK. The MF of course stands for Marshal Fridge, and the 4.4 stands for 4.4 cubic feet. This is the larger model. There's another 3.2 cubic feet model, but we're not going to talk about that one today because we got the one with the freezer on it. And the BLK refers to the black finish inside and out. I think they used to make them with white insides before, and I'm not sure they still do that anymore. But this is the MF 4.4 BLK. So there you have it, complete with real Marshall authentic parts from an actual Marshall amp, which we're going to prove later. With the fancy Jim Marshall logo and a signature here and all that good stuff. The switches work. The knobs turn and have the same feel of a real Marshall amp. So there's the outside, and here is the inside. It's got a door that holds lots of goodies, which we're going to go into more detail in a moment, and an internal compartment that's surprisingly very versatile and holds a lot of juice. So what we've got here first of all is several adjustable drawers. This is a full-size drawer that can be put on any of 4 different levels. And then we've got 2 adjustable half-size drawers. I happen to have them on top of each other right now because I wanted a little bit more room, which is a fine way to put them in there. But you can hold obviously things like cans and bottles and what have you. And then over here on the door, you can hold cans, bottles, and what have you, as well as a very, very handy space for holding a full 2-liter bottle, actually 3 of them. Nice little retractable arm there that'll keep them nicely in place. One of the features I really like about this thing is that it does keep things nice and securely on the door, so stuff isn't constantly falling over all the time. But the great thing about the 4.4 model is this right up here. This is the freezer compartment, or they referred to as the chiller compartment. And in there we've got just enough space for things like a little ice cubes, and also for you coffee snobs like myself here, there's just enough room in there to keep your coffee frozen, which a lot of people like to do, keep your coffee beans or your coffee grounds frozen. And one of the things I really love about this particular freezer is it's actually got a spill tray underneath it here. So when you're defrosting the thing, or heaven forbid the power goes out or something like that, all the water will gather in there and will end up spilling down through the fridge and onto your floor. So nice little feature there. And one other thing I really like about it, speaking of freezing and what have you, is it's got a very easily controllable, very accessible temperature control. And this thing does get cold. If you want really nice ice cold drinks that are this side of being frozen inside, it's perfect for that. And the compartment up top, it will make ice cubes, but the manual says that you probably don't want to store food there long term, which is fine. But you could easily fit a couple of TV dinners and that kind of thing in there for several days without any problem. It doesn't get super sub-freezing, but it does get cold enough to make ice and keep frozen dinners nice and frozen. Let's see. The other thing in the interior you might notice here is the cool Arctic blue light that comes with it. And the other thing I like about that light is if you don't want it and you want something brighter or it needs to be replaced, there's an easy compartment right here behind the temperature control where you can put in a brand new light bulb. So there's a couple of things I've noticed about this fridge since using it for a while. First of all, I really like it. It is a great little fridge. One of them is that this area right here on the second shelf is a little tight to fit cans into. So you kind of have to push them a little bit before you can get them in and out. So keep that in mind. I would probably put smaller jars and things like that on that shelf. But this shelf is fine. There's plenty of room for the 2-liter bottles there. And of course, there's tons of room in the shelves to put all your cans if you don't want to put them on the door. Another couple of things you might want to know. This is a refrigerator, not a piece of studio gear. And as such, it's a little noisy. Not terribly noisy, but you can probably hear a little bit of it in the background right now. It sounds like a fridge, by golly. So when I'm doing sessions with this, and if I actually have any instruments, acoustic instruments that are mic'd up and what have you out in this area in the studio, I just unplug it temporarily, and then it doesn't make any sound, but it stays cold for a good many hours, even unplugged. So that's the gist of the Marshal MF 4.4 BLK. I've got another couple of comments I'd like to make. Admire the outside once again. We're gonna compare this to an actual amp head in a moment from Marshall, so that should be fun. But in the meantime, I'd like to mention that there's a great manual that actually comes with it, and it's how to operate the thing, but also has some good suggestions about temperatures to start from and how long it takes for the temperature to adjust and good ways to put food and beverages in there to get them cold in the most efficient way. So let's get ourselves a little Marshall head here and see if this is really truly a Marshal fridge. Are we ready for a real-world comparison? Let's hoist a Marshall amp head up here and see what we get. This is an old toy we have here in the studio, a G100R, actual Marshall amp, and it looks remarkably similar. I've noticed even down to the details on the pieces of plastic, the cloth that's used for the grill, all that stuff is total Marshall. And it looks like right out of the factory parts. But here you'll notice all the knobs look identical. Even the tone color of the metal itself on the top of the grill, you'll notice, is totally authentic. So it really is actual Marshall guitar amp parts. You'll also notice while I'm here that it's a very sturdy fridge because it's just fine for supporting an actual fairly large size microwave here and a guitar head. Not that I'd recommend necessarily needing to put a guitar head on top of your microwave, but it's really sturdy and supports a decent amount of weight as long as you're reasonable about it. So it is a Marshall. Just a couple more things I want to say about this fridge before we wrap up. First of all, you can adjust it to open on either the right side or the left side of the fridge, which is really kind of cool, easy to do yourself with a couple of basic tools from home. And also there are some leveling screws on the bottom that allow you to adjust the level of the fridge on not so flat surfaces. One little disappointment for those of you who might want to know, it does not go to 11. So for those Spinal Tap and Marshall fans out there, you'll get the inside joke, but it's actually modeled after a Marshall amp model that doesn't have 11 on the knobs. So just wanted you to know that. Also, it's not a huge fridge. It's 4.4 cubic feet, which means that it'll do normal people coming and going, storing drinks and the occasional meal and that kind of thing. But if you've got somebody coming to your studio to stay for a couple weeks and put all their drinks and meals in there, it's not really made for that. It's more of a bar fridge. The website for Marshal Fridge is marshalfridge.com, just like it sounds, marshalfridge.com. I'll also put a link down below on where you can buy the fridge. If you like what you're getting, feel free to hit the subscribe button below this video, and if you'd like to be notified of future videos we have coming out, just hit that little bell. I'll see you in the next one. Reslating. So I've got a couple more things I want to say about this amp before we wrap up. The first one is you can actually adjust it to open the door on the right side or the left side of the fridge. I said amp, didn't I? That's going in the outtakes. That's excellent. Well, it is kind of an amp. Too funny. Oops.